Welcome to the Last Supper of Outcasts, and I'm your host, Marvin the Martian. Today is Monday, July 6th, 2026. Not that it matters. Here's today's quote of the day. Not only is the universe stranger than we think, the universe is stranger than we can think. That quote is by Werner Heisenberg, although I'm going to dispute Gemini here, and I believe it's actually David Bohm, who has had some brilliant conversations with the likes of Krishnamurti, and you can find those on YouTube. But I digress. Happy birthday, America. Happy belated birthday. 250 years old. And one of the ways I celebrated the 4th of July was I listened to Jimi Hendrix's version of the Star Spangled Banner that he performed at Woodstock. And it's 4 minutes long, and it brought me to tears because it really, I believe, tell us everything that we need to know about America, or anybody that is not from America. If you want to learn about America and what it's all about, Jimi Hendrix's version of the Star Spangled Banner is a 4-minute history lesson. And I'm not trying to be smart. I love America. I really do. But, in this guitar epic, it's bombs, missiles, and sirens everywhere. And that basically sums up the history of America. Bombs, missiles, and sirens everywhere. And it's sad. And another thing I was thinking about here in the last just couple hours, it's not going to last long, is it's strange that we're not hearing a peep about Iran. Nothing. There's not been a geopolitical crisis or a mention of it even in the news that I have seen for at least the last couple hours. So my question is, are our owners giving us a break for our birthday here? I'm American. I'm proud to be American. I'm becoming less and less proud, and I'm becoming highly suspicious, but I am proud of the ideals that were taught to me as a child, and I am proud. But I'm the quiet lately here makes me suspicious, and it makes me deeply nervous that this current 48 72 hour respite, it makes me nervous as to what our owners are about to conjure up next, because as we all know, if you're American, and this is global. It's spreading out globally. I don't know where it derived from, but a lot of people are feeling it in their own respective countries. You just never know what you're going to wake up to. So it's been a little quiet, and I'm suspicious of that. And I wanted to talk about today that one of the main points of this channel are discussing how my own experiences are tending to how they relate to what we're collectively experiencing. And one thing's for sure, people seem to be waking up all at the same time. I think many of you would agree with that. I'm personally convinced there is a massive collective awakening going on as I speak. And again, conveying my own experiences and tying them into what we as a humanity are experiencing is integral to the meaning of why I'm even doing this channel, why I'm even bothering. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to think. I'm just trying to convey my own experiences and some of the conclusions and the observations that I've made that tie in to what seems to be a collective conscious. And it's truly astounding. Sometimes it frightens me that the accuracy of my experiences and how it conveys to the larger global humanity. Something big is going on. And I know that I'm not the only one that is feeling this. I know it for sure. I'm 100% certain of it. And I'm not saying I'm certain of it because of YouTube or watching this or watching that. I experience it almost seemingly daily now. This awakening that I'm referring to seems to have shifted into full gear since the so-called health crisis we all experienced starting around 2020. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Things have shifted dramatically since that event took place. And I believe that that event was a big catalyst in people collectively, globally, whatever you want to call it, realizing that we've all been bullshitted for almost all of our lives, almost for the entirety of all of our lives. And I'm 60 years old. And I've been really struggling lately, and I've been calling out to the powers that be or the forces that are there. I won't call it God. I don't know what it is, but something is there. There are forces at work. I am 100% sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And I've been calling out to these forces. I've even started to reclaim some of the shamanic practices I learned when I was in Hollywood, which I spoke about on a previous video. And I hadn't done these exercises in many, many years. And I started to do them again. And I'm noticing things. And I'm not making this stuff up. I've had several Uber riders just in the last week that are coming into my car and just saying astounding things, and I'm not coaxing them. Yesterday, after one of my, I'm praying. I don't know exactly who I'm praying to, but I'm not praying for bad things to come to anyone or to myself. I'm praying let's get to the point here. What is going on? I know there's something going on. There's been signals and flashes, flashpoints that I've witnessed throughout my entire life. I've known something is going on, and I'm not bragging. I'm not making it up. I've known something is much larger is going on here than we realize. I'm 100% sure of it. And I mean, it may not seem important to you, but to me, the rider yesterday just showing up in the car, it's a 5-minute ride. And, I don't coax any of this out of people. I don't speak first. I let the people speak first, and then I'll respond. And that lets me know that they want to even talk to me. Because a lot of people, when they get in an Uber, they don't want to even talk to the driver. But this rider, he was bringing these things up with no coaxing from myself whatsoever. I just asked him how was he doing, the normal human respectful greeting. How are you? And you know, he goes on, well, I'm doing great. He explained how his grandmother gave him some beads. And I believe this gentleman was Native American. Not that it matters, but I will say the Native Americans know something more than they themselves may even be leading on to. I'm convinced of that as well. And he just went on to say how blessed he was, and his family is, they sell their uh, some kind of like a ironsmiths, and they make things, and they sell them. That's how they earn their living. And this is not in the ghetto, which mostly I consider Phoenix, Calcutta, a total ghetto. I don't care if you're in Paradise Valley or if you're in Maryvale. To me, this whole city is a ghetto because we've let it become that. But this was not a ghetto. It was a house. It was well kept. You know, you could tell they were proud. And this gentleman just he goes on and he's saying, after our niceties were exchanged, that people are waking up just out of nowhere. And I agreed with him right away. I said, yeah, I can feel it. And he said, a lot of us can feel it. A lot of us are waking up. A lot of us, many of us, as a matter of fact, are realizing that we have been manipulated and we've been lied to since day one, since our first day on the earth. And he goes on to mention things that are astounding to me, things I've heard of, and I'm sure you have too. The earth as the mother, the sun as the father. He's mentioning the number 12. There's 12 disciples. There's 12 signs of the zodiac, etc. And then he mentioned about 33 vertebrae in the spine, which I never thought about before. But if you know anything about, I wouldn't say, if you just delved into this subject a little bit, numerology, 33 shows up all over the place. 33 was the age Jesus Christ was when he died. There's 33 degrees of Freemasonry. And then the 133 I never even thought about was the one that he mentioned, and I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, but he said 33 vertebrae in the spine somehow ties into this. Powerful numbers he's mentioning, and again, totally uncoaxed. I didn't bring this up, and this is a ride that was less than 6 minutes long. And he just kind of left it at that, how human beings are spiritual beings. And we are being prevented from realizing this. Why we're being prevented from realizing this, you can come to your own conclusions. I don't know. I have my suspicions. That's a whole other video. That could be a whole other video. But the fact that we are spiritual beings is being hidden from us deliberately. And for whatever reason, you can agree or disagree. But if you watch this channel, you probably have the tendency to agree. So that was one of the experiences I had over the holiday weekend. There's been a couple just strange events. I mentioned the rider that got in a couple days ago, and he basically was saying the same exact thing without me coaxing him. And I've been living on a knife's edge. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pay the rent next month. I'm that close to not being able to make it. That's why that's one of the reasons I started doing the shamanic exercises again, that I have not done for many years. And people like this, out of my asking for help and doing these exercises, I believe are showing up for a reason. And I'm not coaxing these, again, I'm not coaxing these topics out of them. They're just showing up out of nowhere and talking about these things out of nowhere. So that's one of the things, it's just one example of what's leading me to believe that there is something massive that's occurring to humanity. It's not just me, it's everybody. I believe it's everybody. And I believe everybody can feel there's a massive shift into or out of something. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to claim that I know what it is. I have no idea. But I can feel it in my bones. And I think many of us can feel it in our bones too. And it, just as a side note, yesterday too, a bird flew right into my windshield on the driver's side. It scared the living shit out of me. But something like that has never happened in my entire life. And it may be nothing, it may be just a coincidence, but man, in light of what I've been going through and what I've been trying to invoke here lately, that also is not, I don't believe in coincidences at this stage. And that's about it. A lot of us are just realizing that everything we've been taught or sold, as I would describe it, is complete bullshit. And mentally, you know, that's a very hard pill to swallow. And many people will choose not to swallow it, and many people are choosing not to swallow it. But many people have the courage to swallow the pill I'll call reality. And this whole, I believe it's a sort of a separation that's occurring to humanity. It's the ones that are not swallowing the pill and just want to stay in some sort of a delusion, and it's as opposed to the people who are swallowing the pill and want to know, I guess you could call it the essence of what this reality is. What is going on? And we're being shown in this time, for whatever reason, we are actually, I'm 100% convinced, being shown that the reality that we've been brought up to believe, if you're of a certain age, is 100% not true. And a lot of people can deal with it mentally, and a lot of people can't. And that's going to be a big deal in the coming months, years, I believe, is just being able to delete, because I believe we're coming up to a point where you're not going to be able to deny this shift that's going on. And it's going to mentally be very disturbing to a lot of people. So those that are prepared and are aware that this shift is happening, I believe will be in a much better position to handle it. And one last thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't want to go all woo-woo here, but from a very early age, and I've just described some events that occurred to me when I was 5 or 7 years old in previous videos. But from a very early age, I was presented with and was told in a way on multiple occasions that this reality is not what you think it is. And one morning in Buffalo, New York, I lived in the city right off of the Kensington Highway. If anybody out there is from Buffalo, the neighborhood is now a shithole. At the time, it was pretty nice. But I was in my backyard, and I was between 5 and 7 years old. We lived in a duplex, and it was basically just me and my mother on one part of the duplex and then the landlord on the other. And the landlord I never met. And one morning or afternoon, it was very gray out. A gentleman presented himself, and I wasn't scared that I didn't recognize him, because as a child, I just assumed it was the landlord approaching me. So I wasn't afraid. And he proceeded to bring out, and I'm not making this up, this actually happened. I didn't dream it. I think about this all the time. And this is one of the integral points of why I know there's something big going on here. And I'm not saying what it is because I don't know. But this man in our backyard, which was gated, you can't just walk in without walking through the gate and, this and that. But I did think it was my landlord, who I never met. So I wasn't afraid of him. And he didn't give me any reason to be afraid of him. He looked very, like, almost priestly in a way. And very silver in a way, too, for some reason. All of him, not just his hair or his beard. Like, all of him seemed silver. And it was gray out. So everything was silver that day. And I just remember he presented like a football-sized orb. And he just said something to the effect, I can't remember the exact words, but he just said, "What do you think of this?" And he took this thing, it's about the size of a basketball. And he just went something like that. It wasn't any effort put into this at all, into launching this thing into the air. It was not a balloon. It was a metal object. It was a metal sphere. And very nonchalantly, he just, "What do you think of this?" He launched it into the air, and it went up in a straight line. There was no spiraling. There was no deviation. It went up in a straight line, up and up and up and up and up and up. And it disappeared out of sight, and it never came back down. So that's one example of why I feel. And then that was it. He left. And it was like, I didn't make anything else out of it. I was like, man, that's cool as hell. And that was about it. He just left. And now, I didn't ask him who he was or anything. I just assumed it was the landlord. And maybe it was still to this day, because I never met the landlord. But the object just kept going up and up, no deviation, in a straight line. It wasn't a kite. This thing went up so far, it disappeared. There was nothing he was holding after it was launched. There was no strings on it. It just kept going straight up until it disappeared, and it never came back down. That's just one example of why I believe things are not even close to what we think they are. And that's also another reason why I'm, even though I'm at like death's door here, literally, I'm on the verge of being homeless because I can't get a job, and I'm worried if I have one accident or one problem goes wrong, I'm sunk. But it's this experience, as well as others that I've had, I'm not as afraid as I probably should be, because I truly believe there's something big going on here. And whatever's going on is not necessarily meant to harm us. It could be, it's working, it may be working in both directions, working to, depending on which side you're choosing here. And I believe that 100%. We're dealing with forces here that we have no clue what we're actually dealing with. But there are forces out there, and there's evil forces, as you can see, and clearly, they're all around us. But there are also good forces that mean to do us no harm and actually maybe are protecting us. They're out there, and and those are the ones that I'm trying to cling to and to invoke here. I'm not trying to push any sort of idea, but there is a separation between those who are able and mentally prepared to swallow what's come, to swallow reality and to realize everything, and to be okay with realizing that everything we've been told, it's not even close to what the actual reality is. So there's going to be there's a big separation, I believe, amongst us humans, and that's one of the first steps, is those that are prepared to accept that and those that are not prepared to accept that. You can make your own decisions on what any of this means. Like I always say, I have no idea, but I know something is going on. So if anybody's ever had any experiences as I've just described, whether it be in riding in an Uber or people that you've encountered that have like wakened you up or kind of like amazed you or shocked you or you can't believe your eyes type of things, I would love to hear that. None of these, I'm not making any of this up. Cross my heart, hope to die. This is as true as can get. I wasn't even sure I was going to tell the story about the man with the orb because, you know, it's pretty heavy. But if you have had any encounters like this, synchronicities, I guess you could call them, I would love to hear your stories. And another reason I'm doing this channel is that for people that it's helpful to know that you're not alone in feeling what you may be feeling during this shift that I 100% believe we are going through. You're not alone. And I believe that may help people. So that's another reason I'm doing this channel. And I started off just wanting to make people laugh, but I think I have more to say than just telling jokes. So that's why we're off into this new direction. But other than that, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you watching, anyone that's out there. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. If there's a notification bell, hit the notification bell. I could use any support I could possibly get. And I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you watching. So thanks again. I hope you have a great night. I'll talk to you soon. And thank you again.